The Book of Henry made a splash in limited release last weekend as one of definitely the most original movies of the year, but is it something you should check out? I'll tell you right here on ScreenJunkies News.
Mom, I have to tell you something, and it's very important.
Christina's in trouble.
When someone hurts someone else, we have to make it better.
There's only one way to stop it.
I'd hope to do it all myself, but that's not an option.
There has to be another way to help Christina. Why, there's no way.
Hi, I'm Dan Merle here with my review of The Book of Henry, and I want to say right up top, I don't know how to discuss this film without talking about what's in this movie, so consider this your blanket spoiler warning, because I really feel like I have to take you through this thing step by step for you to really determine if this is a journey that you want to take. So there it is. There's your spoiler alert. Just so you know, I'm just going to kind of walk you through this movie, and you can jump off at any point if it decides like you want to see this. To be honest, even after I describe this movie to you, there's no other substitute for actually watching this unfold before you. The Book of Henry is less a movie than a Stefan from Saturday Night Live bit. So I'll begin my review by saying Hollywood's hottest club is The Book of Henry. This movie has everything. Sniper rifles, Jacob Tremblay doing magic, adorable kids wearing goggles, and Naomi Watts playing the mandolin. So let's just journey through The Book of Henry together, shall we? We start with Henry, who is a precocious young child. He is a super genius who's made hundreds of thousands of dollars for his waitress mom, played by Naomi Watts. That basically means that she doesn't have to work, but she continues to work as a diner waitress with her best friend, Sarah Silverman. She basically spends her time playing video games and getting drunk. I kind of thought this movie was going to go towards a Naomi Watts negligent mother angle, because that's kind of what she is in this movie, but that's not what the movie portrays her as. She is a great mom, I guess, who blacks out drunk with her best friend and lets her 10-year-old take care of the family. Anyway, moving on. Next door to them lives Dean Norris, who you probably know as Hank from Breaking Bad. He is the city's police commissioner, and he has a young daughter who is friends with Naomi Watts. They have a fun secret handshake that you see him do. That's how you know that they get along. Here's what you don't know until about 30 minutes into the movie, which is kind of proceeding as a quirky young adult drama with Henry playfully taking care of his family. Hank from Breaking Bad, Dean Norris, is also abusing, and it's implied, molesting his young daughter. Now, this is not the kind of plot twist that you would expect from what you've seen so far, but nothing in this movie is what you would expect. So let's just continue to move on. Henry tries to report this abuse by calling Child Protective Services, informing his principal. However, his neighbor's brother runs Child Protective Services, so nothing is done. And so Henry decides to formulate a plan to save the next door neighbor once and for all. Her name is Christina. And then Henry dies. Out of nowhere, he develops a brain tumor and is gone in about 10 minutes of screen time. Again, this movie is nothing if not unpredictable. What Henry does leave behind is his red journal, the titular Book of Henry, that his younger brother, played by Jacob Tremblay from Room, gives to his mother. That's right, Henry has been plotting the murder of his next-door neighbor before his untimely death for a brain tumor, and he's left Naomi Watts a step-by-step instruction manual on how to murder their next-door neighbor. So the last third of this movie involves a race against time as Henry's mother tries to murder the next-door neighbor. And then she doesn't, because through the revelation of a Rube Goldberg machine that Henry's left in his clubhouse that reveals a bunch of pictures of him and his younger brother, she remembers that he's just a child. Which brings us to the moral of this movie, which is, even if your child is a genius, if he leaves behind a journal after he dies from a brain tumor that tells you to assassinate the next door neighbor, maybe you shouldn't listen to him. So Naomi Watts decides not to murder Hank from Breaking Bad, but it doesn't matter because the principal, who didn't call Child Protective Services anyway, suddenly recognizes through the pain in the eyes of the neighbor girl during her ballet dance at the school talent show, Don't Ask, that abuse is actually happening, so she calls Child Protective Services. Hank from Breaking Bad blows his brains out, and Naomi Watts adopts the little girl because, as I forgot to mention, Henry also left behind instructions on how his mother could forge adoption papers so that when the neighbor does die, she can be adopted by his terrible, drunkard, video game playing, negligent mother. That's the story of the Book of Henry, and the reason that I informed you of this story is that I don't really think that I can share my opinion or recommend or not recommend this movie without bringing you into this secret society. I feel like there's a little bit of a movie club happening right now, and that movie club is people who have experienced this movie and people who have not experienced this movie. Yes, the Book of Henry paints a picture, but I'm pretty sure that picture is of a naked, overweight circus clown. It's a piece of art. It's something that I could hang up on my wall, but it's also something that I'm not really sure I wanted to see, that I ever want to look at again, or that I'm really sure anyone else should look at either. I don't know what the hell this movie was. I don't know how to rate this movie. There's not a scale that exists that this movie exists on. I'm kind of surprised that this movie exists in the reality in which we live. I feel like at some point, everyone's going to go to Redbox or whatever exists for video rentals, and this movie will have disappeared and no one can find it, and that's because this movie wasn't supposed to exist in our plane of reality. It instead was made in some alternate dimension where it's completely normal to have a movie about your young kid leaving behind a posthumous journal telling you to murder your next door neighbor. However, in this reality, this was just a little too much, and then 10 times a little too much for me to go on board with. So I can't recommend the Book of Henry. However, if you go see the Book of Henry and you want to talk to me about it, please do, because I've been wanting to talk about this movie with every other single person who's seen it. It's like a Monet painted with bird poop. Is it art? Yes. Is it good? No. But is it unique? Yes. But should you go see it? No. But should you go see it? Maybe. But I don't think you should. But if you do, let me know. Thanks for watching Screen Junkies News. You can click, select, tap, whatever you want. The box is on screen to watch even more Screen Junkies News, and don't forget to click the logo to subscribe.